Section 1. The Power of No. An Introduction to Personal Boundaries. Saying no can be difficult and many people struggle with it, but it is essential for well-being. No is a powerful word. It helps us set boundaries. Boundaries protect our time, energy, and values. When we say yes to everything, we overcommit. We may feel overwhelmed and stressed. Saying no allows us to prioritize. We can focus on what truly matters. It is a key aspect of self-care. Learning to say no is a journey. It takes practice and courage, but the rewards are worth it. Saying no allows us to live authentically. We can align our actions with our values. It leads to greater peace and fulfillment. Mastering this skill is empowering. It allows us to take control of our lives. We can make conscious choices about how we spend our time and energy. Saying no is not selfish. It is an act of self-preservation. Section 2. The psychological barriers to saying no. Why is saying no so hard? Several psychological factors are at play. We may fear disappointing others. We worry about damaging relationships. The desire for approval is strong. Social conditioning plays a role. We are often taught to be agreeable. Saying yes is seen as polite. This starts in childhood. We learn to prioritize others' needs over our own. Fear of conflict is another barrier. We avoid saying no to prevent disagreements. This can lead to resentment. We may feel taken advantage of. It is important to challenge these fears. Recognizing these barriers is the first step. We can then start to overcome them. Understanding the psychology behind our reluctance empowers us. We can make conscious choices about saying no. Section 3. Fear of conflict. The seed of resentment. Fear of conflict is a powerful deterrent. It prevents many from setting boundaries. We worry about upsetting others. We avoid disagreements at all costs. However, this avoidance can backfire. It often leads to resentment. We say yes when we want to say no. This builds up negative feelings over time. Resentment can poison relationships. It creates distance and tension. It is important to address conflict constructively. Saying no can be a part of healthy communication. When we assert our boundaries, we show self-respect. This earns the respect of others. It fosters healthier, more authentic relationships. Avoiding conflict may seem easier in the short term, but it can have long-term negative consequences. Section 4. The people-pleaser paradox. Losing yourself to please others. People-pleasing is a common struggle. It stems from a desire for validation. We seek approval from others. We want to be liked and accepted. This can lead us to say yes constantly. We prioritize others' needs over our own. We neglect our own well-being in the process. This becomes a vicious cycle. The more we please, the more others expect. We become trapped in a web of obligations. Our own needs and desires take a back seat. This can lead to exhaustion and resentment. It is crucial to break free from this pattern. We must recognize our own worthiness. Our needs and feelings are valid. Saying no allows us to reclaim our lives. Section 5. Saying yes out of guilt. A misguided sense of obligation. Guilt is another powerful motivator. It can lead us to make unhealthy choices. We may feel obligated to say yes even when we don't want to. This guilt can stem from various sources. We may feel indebted to someone. We may worry about disappointing them. These feelings can be overwhelming. However, guilt should not dictate our decisions. It is important to examine the source of our guilt. Is it based on realistic expectations, or are we placing undue pressure on ourselves? We are not responsible for others' happiness. We cannot control their reactions. Saying no does not make us bad people. It simply means we are prioritizing our well-being. Section 6. The long-term costs of avoiding no. Avoiding the word no comes at a cost. It affects our mental, emotional, and physical health. Overcommitting leads to stress and burnout. We may experience fatigue, irritability, and difficulty sleeping. Our relationships can suffer as well. We may withdraw or become resentful. Saying yes to everything prevents us from pursuing our passions. We have no time or energy left for ourselves. This can lead to feelings of emptiness and regret. Setting boundaries is crucial for a fulfilling life. It allows us to protect our well-being. We can then show up fully for ourselves and others. Section 7. Shifting your perspective no as an act of self-care. Saying no is often seen as negative. We associate it with conflict and disappointment. However, it is essential to reframe this perspective. No is not a rejection. It is an act of self-care. It is a way of honoring our limits. When we set boundaries, we prioritize our well-being. This allows us to show up as our best selves. We have more energy and enthusiasm for the things we care about. Saying no is a form of self-respect. It demonstrates that we value our time and energy. It shows that we are not afraid to prioritize our needs. This empowers us to live authentically. Saying no can be challenging at first, but there are ways to do it gracefully. Start by being direct and concise. State your no clearly and calmly. Avoid lengthy explanations or justifications. You do not owe anyone an elaborate excuse. A simple "no, I can't commit to that right now" is sufficient. You can offer alternatives if appropriate. For example, you could suggest a different time to meet, or you could recommend someone else for the task. Remember to be polite but firm. Maintain eye contact and use a confident tone of voice. Practice saying no in low-stakes situations. This will build your confidence over time. Setting boundaries is crucial for saying no effectively. Boundaries define our limits. They communicate what we are and are not willing to tolerate. It is important to be clear about your boundaries. Identify your non-negotiables. These are the things you are not willing to compromise on. Once you know your boundaries, communicate them assertively. Let others know what you expect. Be consistent in enforcing your boundaries. Don't be afraid to say no when someone crosses a line. Remember that you teach people how to treat you. Setting clear boundaries shows self-respect. Assertive communication is key when saying no. It involves expressing your needs and boundaries respectfully. Use I statements to convey your message. For example, instead of saying "you're being unreasonable," say "I feel overwhelmed when I have too much on my plate." Maintain a calm and assertive tone of voice. Avoid being aggressive or passive-aggressive. Stand tall, make eye contact, and speak clearly. Practice active listening. Pay attention to the other person's perspective. Acknowledge their feelings but stand firm in your decision. Saying no can lead to positive outcomes in various situations. At work, it allows you to focus on your priorities. You can avoid burnout and produce higher quality work. In relationships, saying no fosters healthy boundaries. It prevents resentment and allows for more authentic connections. It also allows you to pursue your own interests and passions. When we say no to things that drain us, we create space for things that energize us. This leads to greater happiness and fulfillment. Remember that saying no is not selfish. It is a way of taking care of yourself so you can show up fully in other areas of your life. Embrace the power of no and experience the positive impact it can have on your well-being.